this kind of feels like, I don't know if you remember this old Bruce Willis movie where Justin Long's character is a black hat hacker, and the FBI gets involved because all kind of horrible things happen, and the FBI counterterrorism guy says, okay, so I want to know everything he knows. And he turns to Bruce Willis and goes, if he knew half of what I knew, his fuzzy little head would explode. So that's how this feels. There's so much going on here that it's amazing. So let me tell you the story. So 6 years ago, I was minding my own business. I had a home on the 14th tee box, a beautiful golf course, and a 100-acre farm with cows and horses, and it sounds kind of nice, doesn't it? And then somebody told me about this technology, and I couldn't figure out, why don't we have this? It makes no sense to me. So I left my goofy grandsons and my horses and the farm and all of that to move to Tampa, Florida, to live in a room 2 miles from the lab because that's where the science was. Had to go. Why would anybody in their right mind do that? I should have probably had a psychological evaluation, but I did not. I left. And this is why. Because this is a cancer cell, okay? And in a cancer cell, you can't put the drug in it. It's why we have to have round after round of chemotherapy and radiation, because you can't penetrate that cell barrier, and you kill the patient many times along with the cancer. But this is why that's not going to happen. So what happens normally is, like I said, you can't put anything inside the cell. However, for decades, people have been using electrical fields to penetrate the cell barrier and create pores on the surface of the cell. When you do that, you can put that drug directly into the tumor and nowhere else. That's very important to understand, because then what happens is, as soon as you finish pulsing the tissue, it closes up. And now you have a seal for 24 hours, and it can't get out, so you can't metastasize it. It's done. So let me tell you the boring part. MMD Technologies was formed to license patents from the University of South Florida, which we did. We've got about 25 of them now. And then we spun off LifePulse Bioscience as a veterinary company, and EF Therapeutics is the human company. Why veterinary? Well, 2 really good reasons. One is because there's no FDA regulatory pathway. It doesn't exist. So you can go to market immediately. And the other reason is because it is a cash-rich market. We're going to do over $4 million this year, and we just launched like 6 months ago. We're already at 200 orders on the vet side because they've been waiting for this. The technology's been around a long time, but it's never changed. I'd like to introduce our head of engineering, Justin Bushko from Concise Engineering, and Justin is the Medtech man. So if you need anything built, talk to that guy. They're brilliant. So what about the competitive landscape? The competitive landscape is pretty darn good for us because we're it. We're the only US engineered manufactured veterinary device in the world, which is really important because all the rest of them are in Europe. And a lot of those 200 sales have come from veterinarians who said they didn't want to work with the Europeans because they can't get them on the phone. Well, you're a 9-hour time difference from here, so it's kind of hard to work with. On the human side, what's extremely interesting, and this is very critically important for you to understand, on the human side, there is no other device like this. There are devices for soft tissue ablation, which is our first indication. The FDA has already said we can use 510K using the nanoknife as a predicate, and we can go straight to clinical trials by the end of this year for pancreatic and liver tumors at Tampa General Cancer Institute. So nobody has what we have. We are able to measure in real time for the first time through impedance feedback what's going on inside that tissue while we're treating. That's critically important because it's been like a best guess. All these decades, it's always been nobody knew. You knew until you got results. Not anymore. So what about the markets? Veterinary market, we know that if we capture less than 10% of it and are just dumb and hopefully we're not, but we're going to sign an agreement in a week or two with Patterson Veterinary, a $4 billion beast of distribution in the vet side. And we think that even at less than 10%, we know that that's $182 million of annual revenue. Who'd have thought that in the vet side? On the human side, the ability to treat anything with either ablation or delivery of a drug, gene, immunotherapy, plasmid DNA, vaccine, the ability to do any of that, the indications are only limited to the number of therapeutics we can deliver. So what about revenue? This year we'll do about 3.7 million in the vet side. Next year about 20 million because of Patterson's involvement. The following year close to 30. And we know, and this number is ridiculous, honestly, because once we start the human side and the vet side really goes to the closer to 10, 12% of the market, 100 million is nothing because the human market is worth about $5 billion. Revenue, not value, revenue. So I want to tell you a quick story. I've been running around the country for the last 2 years, every week in an airplane somewhere treating an animal, which has been the most fun I've ever had because I used to raise Angus beef and horses, so it's been fun. This is, you can't tell this is a horse, but it is. It was a massive 9x8x5 sarcoid on the side of this horse's head in Maryland, and we had to cut it down to a half a centimeter deep, and we treated it. And 2 weeks after the first treatment, it looked like this. Last week, the veterinarian sent me the final picture, and we have this. It's gone. There's no evidence it was ever even there. That's what this does. This precious puppy here, man, I'm telling you, this just broke my heart. She wanted to hold my hand prior to the procedure. This is in Houston, Texas in December. And it was just, she's an old girl, she's tired, she's like, just come on and help me. And we put her on the table and treated her, and she did extremely well, and this is what we were treating. Couldn't be cut because of where it was in the situation. So we were able to treat it, and she just had her third treatment, and from what the veterinarian tells me, it is 90% gone. No other way to do that. So why would anybody do this? Honestly, I mean, yeah, there's money, of course there is, but there's been 40 years of research and $34 million of NIH money poured into this thing, and we've poured in everything we've had for the last 6 years. Well, maybe if this thing gets funded and goes, you won't have to sit through your third Mohs surgery and get filleted for a few hours while they try to figure out if you still have cancer or not. Maybe your 19-year-old friend's daughter won't have a sarcoma removed to have it come back at age 35 and leave her 2 kids and a husband. And maybe your other friend, or maybe you, won't have stage 3 melanoma and have radical surgery and round after round of chemotherapy and radiation. Could be. None of us know. It's love. Every single person in this room has lost somebody they love due to cancer. Everybody has. Or a pet to cancer. Well, as our friends in Ireland like to say, how about loving a few quid? That doesn't hurt either. So our leadership team is fantastic. Dr. Laurie Heller happens to be married to somebody else you're going to meet here in just a second. She's been involved in this technology for 40 years herself. Tarek Shah has 16 years experience in veterinary oncology. We have a veterinarian, a rock star CPA in Sarasota, and Rick Flath has successfully launched 4 Medtech companies in the last decade. Our advisors, Dr. Richard Heller and Dr. Mark Jaseski, are the 2 leading scientists in this technology in the world, and they're both in the Inventors Hall of Fame. Zan Fleming is the head of our FDA translational guidance company, who's told us to use 510K and then start adding INDs for all these therapeutics. Deb DeWay is she's currently the Associate Dean of the Marsani Medical School, and she is helping us out. She's got vast experience. Rebecca Jones is the Chief Technical Officer and lead on product development and design at Justin's company. And Chelsea Tripp is a boarded veterinary oncologist who is the leader in the world in utilization of this technology in veterinary medicine. So last thing I want to tell you is you're going to hear about a lot of buzz about this type of technology. Everybody and their brother wants in the game. Everybody's making an ablation or trying to get into the game. I just want to leave you with this. Nobody has what we have. It would be using the existing technology is like trying to drive from here to Tick Bight, North Carolina without a GPS or a map. Good luck. Anybody know where that is? Only reason I know where it is I drove through it once and blinked and it was gone. So nobody could do that. Why would you use that in medicine? Somebody in this industry actually said on a phone call with us that they thought the old technology that they had was just good enough. Would you want to treat your family with something somebody said was good enough that was 60-year-old technology? I'm not going to do that. I want whatever's the best. All of us do. So that's the last thing I would leave you with, is that we, because of adding impedance feedback and because of adding the patents that we've surrounded this with, that we have something different than anybody else. So thank you so much. And as the professional photographer told me yesterday when they were doing the portraits, she said, put your hands like this and say, give me the money. Thank you.